Checking different videos on uh, what is going on in the African Great Lakes got me once again um, kind of keen to see if we can revisit the history of our people. I was born in a small country in East Africa. Um, my paternal lineage was from ancestors of uh, pre-Tanzania uh, in a region known as Karagwe. My maternal line, on my maternal grandmother, I had um, ancient links to another territory of pre-Tanzania known as Buha. So if we look at the more detailed uh, genetic report on the male lineage and the female lineage, so that means on my paternal line, so that's my father's male ancestors, it can be grouped as what we call A1, B1, N118. This is one of the oldest lineage uh, in the world. So you can see that haplogroup A makes movement from East Africa to West to outside of Africa kind of migration. It goes down to Southern Africa, but you can clearly see the starting point is A around the regions of East Africa. If I move to the next page, looking at how this particular haplogroup A evolves, you will quickly sort of start to see that the haplogroup A is changing into new haplogroups. And where we find the descendant of that haplogroup A is Southern Africa. It's Ethiopia in Amhara region, which is the north, the Sandawe of Tanzania, um, and regions of Botswana, Namibia, Southern Africa. Of course, we know that the names of these countries are more recent. Um, so it's really important that we understand our own history, um, seeing that we are all interconnected from the beginning, as I showed it in the start of the video. So if we look at the maternal line, I'll be able to share that page. With the maternal line, I belong to a haplogroup they call LOA. LOA is also one of the oldest, but you can clearly see that there is a lot of movement. So it starts around East Africa, and then it emerges as LO, so from haplogroup L, and then you see that LO is moving up and down across the African continent. Again, if we check how the haplogroup changes, you will start to see that the haplogroup LOA has been around the regions of Southern Africa into modern countries like Mozambique. The maternal line of Mandela would come from the same line of female ancestors. Now, my Y-DNA genome sequence, so this is the study of your most ancient male and female ancestors. So it traces your fathers, going back hundreds of years to a community. So I've done mine with a particular company from America known as the African Ancestry. This is an African American owned company that does genome sequencing, tracing your ancestors. They have one of the oldest database of Africans in the world. So their results will be quite accurate. So if I share some information here, we'll be able to check how the different kind of communities they've mapped out on my paternal line and my maternal line, how they are also interconnected across the African continent. If I start with my paternal line, I was mapped out as someone who descends from the community of the Sandawe. That's a community found in Tanzania. The haplogroup of this Sandawe community is E1 B1A, which is common also among Niger-Congo speaking population. But it is also present in the Cushitic community, in population like the Somali and Ethiopian groups. This group is descendant in terms of the maternal line from the LO, so which is also my haplogroup on my maternal line. So you can clearly see that my paternal line ancestry of the Sandawe is also related to my maternal haplogroup LOA. Now, if we switch to my maternal genome sequence to try and understand who my mother's mother descended from, we will start to see something even more interesting. So I was actually mapped out as the Tikar from Cameroon. The Tikar are said to have originated around the regions of Chad and Sudan, which is absolutely fascinating. So with The TCAR, on their paternal line, they also have an E1, B1A, and it is quite common in Central and Eastern and Southern Africa. On the maternal line, it is haplogroup L2, which is found again in the same region that we find the paternal line. So, but it is also in high frequency in Cameroon. So the reason why I wanted to do all this comparison is so that we can demystify all this perception that people are not interconnected. That if one looks a certain way, then that means he's not related at all to the rest of African communities. We see a lot of that in Burundi. We see a lot of that in DRC. We used to see that in the Sudan. The thing about tribes really ought to be demystified, and for people to really understand that we are all interconnected. Whether you like it or not, wherever you're born, we are all interconnected. And science has a way of proving my point, because if we all descend from one woman and one man, then there's no reason why we ought to continue this kind of tribalism, grouping ourselves as either Tikar or Sandawe, and feel like we have nothing related to other communities. Because at the end of the day, our journey starts in the same location. If our ancestors moved from the original place, it doesn't mean that we're no longer related to all those populations where our ancestors came from. I'm grateful that my father never said that I'm this tribe or this tribe. Perhaps he did it out of mockery for the foolishness of tribalism that he grew up around. What should really motivate us to discover our ancestry is to actually make the conclusion that we are all interconnected, not to actually promote the idea that we are not related. I was very, very pleased when I discovered my results, which proves that I no longer subscribe to the idea that God created people for them to live apart. God created us to have diversity and to find ways that we make this world a better place. From Palestine to the DRC, to Burundi, to all this religion divisionism, we ought to find a way to promote unity so that everyone can live in this God-given planet that we've inherited from the Creator. I thank you.